Hey everybody, Smile the DM here, and well, this is gonna be a different format. Well, I'm going back to an old format that I used to do, but I really wanted to talk about this movie. Let's be for real. I've been a fan of this thing of FNAF for years, and you know what? Since the movies came out, and it's been like roughly a month now since it came out, or somewhat like that. I think it's finally time that I stepped in and I gave my own opinion about it. Considering that I'm seeing it from both sides of the field, where I am a fan of this fucking franchise, while at the same time I'm trying to see, like, as a casual moviegoer, if this is a good movie or not. And again, like I said, I want to step myself into the ring here and throw my own opinions out. Now, I'm gonna go into spoiler-free stuff, so don't worry about spoilers right now. Once I do get to spoilers, I will have that warning up. And if you don't want anything spoiled, then you could leave. But for right now, I'm gonna give you basically my spoiler-free review of this movie, because let's be for real. I think a lot of people are still gonna want to go see it at this point, and they don't want shit spoiled. But I'm gonna be cut and dry and be honest with you. If you are a fan of this franchise, the fucking movie's already spoiled for you. Like, let me be for real. Like, and that's the thing. Like, if you're a fan who's trying to avoid spoilers, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You know every single, like, twist and turn that's gonna happen in this movie. I'm sorry to say that. Because I went into this movie again totally blind as to what the fuck was going on. I might have gotten some details here and there, but I went into it totally blind, not watching any trailers, nothing, because I wanted to see how good it was. And again, like I said, this thing, it's already spoiled for you if you're a fan of it. And to be completely honest, this thing is a total mixed bag for me. Like, again, like I said, like, the fan in me kind of likes this movie because it's got a whole ton of references that are really cool to see. I think the animatronics and the set design is fucking gorgeous. Like, oh my god. And a lot of the shit is practical effects too, which is, again, a dying art to see that. But holy crap, it looks so good. It looks really good. Like, it makes me think that I'm actually there at that location. It looks real. Like, and you can't argue with that. It actually looks fantastic. Um, and the story, and this is where it's getting to the mixed bag for me with this whole movie, is the story is a bit, it's like, and again, like I keep saying, like I keep reiterating, if you're a fan, it's fucking ruined. And it feels like, um I don't know how the fuck to describe it, but it feels like, and again, don't criticize me because I really wasn't there for the hype of all of this, but it feels like going to watch a Harry Potter movie, right? Where you assumingly are up to date with all the books, and you go into the movie expecting, like, it to be exactly like the book. And this movie kind of does that. The FNAF movie kind of does the same thing, where it's like, if you know the games, if you've looked into the other books that have come out throughout the series, then you're gonna expect pretty much everything. It's gonna be interesting to see what they added into this movie for newcomers to see. But for a lot of newcomers, this thing is gonna be fucking overwhelming, and I feel like I feel like they're gonna think it's a real piece of shit movie, and the critics absolutely fucking agree that it kind of is a piece of shit. But hear me out on this, because again, I'm in the middle of all this. At first, like, walking out of the theater, I'm like, was it happy that I saw it? Yes, absolutely. I was absolutely happy to see it. It's almost the same feeling I got with Jurassic World when it first came out. Like, I've been waiting so long for the fucking movie to come out, and we were theorizing, like, okay, what the fuck is the plot of the movie? Then the movie comes out, and everyone is just excited about this thing because it's actually good. With FNAF, with the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, I don't get that same hype that I did for Jurassic World. I don't get that same like feel to it. Um, Maybe because I've died out as a fan every now and again I've popped back in to see what new lore has came up and everything like that. So now I'm just more of a casual fan instead of a full in-depth fan, but I still got most of what the film was trying to do. But yeah, for newcomers of the series, just fuck them at that point, because if you're not heavily invested into this series, you're gonna fucking hate this thing. Like, you're gonna hate it, and I don't blame you, because even the director, and Scott even said, like, this thing was made for the fans, and they are 100% right. This movie was made for the fans, and keeping it to the PG-13 rating that it did, it's like, that makes sense. It's for the younger demographic, and for really the adults that are coming in. It's for the adults that are bringing their kids to go see this thing, and on top of the fact that it's people like my age who grew up with the first four games of FNAF, and are just coming back to go see the movie, because this thing got announced in 2015, and we've waited literally 9 fucking years for this thing to come out. So I know, like, this movie's been a long time coming, but yeah, and there's a lot I want to talk about in depth in the spoilers, but again, I'm trying to give a general feel for this whole movie in the spoiler free section. But needless to say, newcomers are gonna hate this fucking thing. I'm sorry. And that was the biggest thing that I was really worried, like, for the continuing success of this, because I'm like, if the normies don't like this fucking thing, there's not gonna be sequels. And the normal people really do not like this thing, and yet it's gonna be made into sequels, which I'm happy about, right? I'm happy that there's gonna be more movies, but at the same time, if the general audience did not have fun with this one, it's like they're not going to be fun with the second one or the third one, or inevitably the fucking fourth one when it comes out. But yeah, anybody new coming into this series, it's like a really bad horror movie that's not even trying to be a horror movie, is what I would say. It's a bad horror movie that's not even really a horror movie. Like, half the time, it feels more like a light-hearted comedy movie, with some sprinkles of horror in it. So, and that's just my general feel for, just a casual moviegoer for this kind of stuff. But for the fans out there, and y'all can fucking roast me for all you want, but this is how I felt after the movie came out. The Fazbear Frights novels that came out? Hell, they even make and I'm gonna go with a minor spoiler here, but they even make a fucking, like, reference to the Fazbear Fright novels in this movie. You remember that series of books? Just imagine you're reading The Room for One More and What We Found. Those two books. That's this movie. And as a fan of FNAF, I'm like, are you kidding me? This is just fucking recap of, what we already know with sprinkles of lore. And that's exactly what the movie feels like as a fan, as a Five Nights at Freddy's goer. Because you're like, okay, what the fuck did Scott add? What did he add to this thing? And what's different about it? Because I went in with the notion of basically this is going to be something completely new, like clean slate everything. But it has sprinkles of extra lore that you can add to the games that make sense. And again, I'm going to talk about that in the spoiler section, but again, with room for one more in what we found, it's like they're fine, but they're not the good Fazbear Frights books. Because the good ones are like Count the Ways and Fetch. And if they went in that direction, that would be really cool to see that. Going into a more gory and horrifying kind of aspect of FNAF that really doesn't get touched upon anymore, is what I would have liked to see. But, again, it's for the younger demographic, and I'm like, damn it. So, it again, this thing is a fucking mixed bag of just emotions and everything like that. So, in my honest opinion, and giving it the spoiler-free rating that I usually do, 3 out of 5 is what I would give. A 3 out of 5. It is very much a middle-of-the-ground film for me, because I'm going in as not only a casual, FNAF fan, but also a movie liker and movie enjoyer as well. So, anyways, I'm done talking about spoiler-free. So I'm gonna head straight into fucking spoilers here. So if you don't want anything spoiled, then please, turn off the video right now. And if you're doing that, go and, like, at the very least, hear me out on this, before any of you leave, and before I go into touching the spoilers. Please just, at the very least, if you could find any way, just at least watch this movie once. At least watch it one time, just to see if it's even fucking worth it. Again, I'm in the middle ground where I'm like, I like this movie, and I kind of don't like things that they did. But at the very least, if you guys want my honest opinion, at least watch this fucking thing once to see what it's like. Because I do think, like, it has potential, and it worked in some avenues, but on other avenues, it just was like, this is bad. So it's a very middle-of-the-ground film, to be completely honest with everybody. And again, if you're leaving right now, please enjoy your day, and as always, if you want to come back for my spoiler review, you are happy. Yeah, I am more than happy to, let you back in. It's all good. Nah, you can go into spoilers, if you don't care or whatever. But yeah, now we're gonna go into spoilers now.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Alright, spoilers. Okay, so I liked here, and this is what's gonna trigger so many fucking people here. I did like the lighthearted shit that they did in this movie. The animatronics, again, are fucking fantastic. And again, as a FNAF goer, like, you already know that they're possessed kids that, William Afton fucking killed. And so, seeing them, actually being funny and goofy with Abby, like Mike Schmidt's, like, younger sister, that was actually some pretty wholehearted stuff in this movie, and I was like, oh my god. I'm like, you know, for the first time, I didn't see, like, the animatronics as, like, something fucking evil for once. Like, I really just thought, like, well, yeah, they're fucking tormented spirits at this point. Being possessed by, you know, these animatronics that, you know, are forced to, you know, kill people. Which is great to see that kind of shit. But at the same time, you know, and especially, well, God, I'm gonna try to get all of the good bits out of it. Mike, for the most part, like, his actor actually played kind of well for what he is. I actually kind of was like, holy, like, I almost said to myself, like, in the theater, like, oh my god, like, what the fuck? He's kind of like me. Jesus Christ. He's kind of like me, and I can kind of relate to Mike, and it's like, oh, damn. It's like, oh, fuck. Like, Mike is almost relatable, which is a scary thing to say on this on camera, but, you know, I actually legitimately liked his performance. I liked how Mike is basically traumatized by his younger brother being taken away by William, because that's the assumption at this point. And I love how he interacts with the fucking, you know, possessed kids in those dream sequences. But again, at the fucking same time, when he's doing those night shifts, and he's fucking passed out asleep, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? The main thing I wanted to see out of Five Nights at Freddy's, and it's not even done. Like, they don't have Mike actually go through a whole night where, at the very least, you know, the animatronics are moving around and they're trying to kill him. At least do one night where it's like that. Not all 5 nights where he's fucking, you know, at the monitor screen, takes his pills and goes, like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And it's like, and it, you know, as a player of the games, especially after I played through the first game, I'm like, are you fucking serious? It's like, are you fucking serious? Like, I'm almost tempted to just go back into the first Five Nights at Freddy's game and just be like, yeah, this is how it goes. I'm like, you want the FNAF movie? Here it is. Right there. It's like, what the fuck? Oh my god. No, and I do really like Mike's arc in this whole thing. Where he's kind of, like, struggling to, you know, take care of his sister and everything like that. And his sister Abby's a little disconnected from him. Even though Abby still clearly loves him. It's... I really like that kind of, you know, brother and sister aspect to it. And that whole storyline there, I thought that was, like, the main plot of the whole movie. Is the interactions between Mike and her and his sister, which is totally fine. Then there's William. William Afton's in this. Spoilers. Spoiler fucking alert. I thought at the very beginning of the movie, it's like, you know, he's kind of interesting because he's, like, just trying to hide in plain sight. It talks kind of slow to Mike, and he offers Mike the job, and he even, at one point, he's, like, looking through the files, and he's like, Mike, wait a minute, what the fuck? So I really kind of like that aspect where he's like, wait a fucking minute. But yeah, I really kind of liked his performance as, you know, just hitting William Afton. But as soon as he puts on the Spring Bonnie suit, it was just like, why? Like, there's a couple of things about this movie that I'm just like, I know they're trying to set up certain things for the other movies to happen, but for this one, it's like, Really, did we need Spring Bonnie to die in this one? Did we need Vanessa in this one? I completely forgot to talk about her. Or actually, that was the character I'm getting to next. But did we really need fucking Vanessa in this? Did we? Did we really need Vanessa in this? Did we really need the custody battle between Mike and his aunt, who's trying to get his sister because of, you know, an extra pay or some bullshit? Like, did we really need that subplot? Like, no. But did it get to probably the most gruesome kill in the movie? Yes. Because let's be honest, when this movie actually does do its horror, right? Sometimes it falls pretty fucking flat, like, you know, with Bonnie killing the one guy in the cleaning closet. That was pretty fucking flat. But then there's scenes where it was the babysitter and she goes up to Freddy, and then, you know, the Freddy spirit is like, closer, warmer, warmer, and then grabs her from the fucking thing and splits her in half. It's like, oh my god. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's like, gee. I'm like in my seat, I'm like going, oh my god. And it's like, you're telling me that Jeremy like fucking survived that shit? Like, what the fuck? Like, oh my god. Like, you gotta look at it from that kind of aspect, and it's like, holy fuck. But yeah, when it goes into that horror kind of element, it does work at times. It's not perfect. Especially now with the fucking cupcake being the worst goddamn thing ever. Like, okay, to be honest, I thought the cupcake is literally just a joke character. And I get it that in FNAF 4, the cupcake finally does manage to get some kills if you're not paying attention to Nightmare Chica. But now that the cupcake's a real fucking threat, it's like, why? Why? Why did the cupcake need to be a fucking thing that got kills in this series? Because, let's be for real, some of the things that I saw before posting, or before even watching the movie, I was like, wow. Like, I try to, you know, not see those things, but the cupcake gets the most amount of, like, fucking attacks, other than Foxy, my favorite boy. But it's like, are you fucking serious? The cupcake? What the hell? I was like, are you kidding me? The cupcake, which not only kills one guy that comes in, but then kills William Afton kind of in the end, with helping the spring locks, you know, crush him. But, oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ. But yeah, but, you know, at times, you know, the horror doesn't quite work, and, you know, a lot of people were expecting a jump scare fest, and that's what I was thinking too. I really would have liked to see a jump scare fest, because that's what the games, you know, pride themselves on. But there's like maybe one or two, like, there's maybe like 4 jump scares, and 3 of them are just for comedic effect. For real. 3 of them are just for jokes. Which, by the way, those 3 that I'm talking about are the Balloon Boy ones. Fucking Balloon Boy gets more scares when I'm more laughing at the fact that, oh my god, BB's there. Balloon Boy's there. But yeah, it's like, the horror movie tropes really don't come into, like, full view. It's more of a light-hearted kind of drama film, if you will. Like, that's the best way I can put it. it's a lighthearted drama with sprinkles of horror into it. Um, so it's not it doesn't really hold up on its own. Like it's fine, but at the same time it's not what a lot of people I think expected it to be. But at the same time it's like we kind of expected this shit. So that's the struggle that I'm having right now, is trying to figure out, like, do I like this movie or do I really not like it? And actually going back to Vanessa in this case, I didn't think she was bad. I thought the reveal of her being William Afton's fucking daughter is pretty fucking bad. Like, because I was already, like, thinking in the theater, like, okay, Mike is Mike Afton, Abby is supposed to be a representation of Elizabeth, Garrett, who is the younger brother of Mike, or the older brother, I don't know who, and Garrett's supposed to be the crying child. Like, that was the analogy that I was getting, but no, here we get a full-on confirmation that Vanessa is Afton's daughter, and it's like, because at first I was like, why the fuck are they introducing Vanessa into this when Vanessa is a more recent character that's been added, especially after the events of FNAF 1 through 6, as far as I'm aware, and is kind of like the game developer who gets possessed by William Afton, and William Afton basically controls her to bring him back to life. Like, I thought that was like what Vanessa was supposed to be, but in this movie, she's more or less like, she's been through the whole entire thing, she knows what her dad has done, and for the most part, she's done fucking nothing, and I'm just like, how are you a cop? Like, how did you become a cop when you were helping your dad clean up the bodies? Assumingly, of course. Helping clean him up. You were there to witness everything and didn't tell anybody. And and you're kind of basically helping your dad, like, carry out most of these kills at the fucking FNAF location. That's like, and it's like, I don't mind her being the one who expulses a whole lot of dialogue, because again, William Afton's daughter, and she's been there since the murders happened. I mean, she's not the one who's committed any murders, but she's there to, like, clean up the messes and yada yada yada. But it's like, I didn't understand, like, the point of her character being there other than to explain shit. Like, it frustrated me as a fan to not only see William Afton die in this fucking movie, which of course he's always gonna fucking come back, but then to have Vanessa in this movie and be tied to William Afton. And again, like I said, I was going in for the expectation of this is a different universe, but it has the same kind of story beats to it, but at the same time, I was like, I was trying to go for the analogy! But yeah, Vanessa's character, I liked her, but at the same time, I was like, eh. And a lot of the other side characters too, the aunt and the babysitter are kind of like characters. I thought the babysitter was gonna be this, like, nice person that just helps Mike out, but no, it turns out she's a fucking traitor working for Mike's aunt, which it's fine. But yeah, I mean, I liked a lot more of the wholehearted stuff. Abby hanging out with the animatronics, and the animatronics being a lot friendlier than I expected. And I was like, it makes sense, but at the same time, this is fucking weird. it's weird to see the animatronics being actually fucking friendly towards children. It's what I'm saying. It's absolutely weird to see it, but I do appreciate it. Um, especially the Ford fucking creating montage. I fucking love that shit. It made me laugh a little bit, but with how goofy it was, and I think that was the entire point of it. Um, but yeah, and I mean, the only other thing that I could really say, than other than what I've already said, is either the references are fucking crazy to see. Like again, like I mentioned in my spoiler free, they did have a Fazbear Fright reference in Ella as a Springlock suit, and I was like, even in the movie theater, I was like, what the? Who the fuck is that? And it took me a minute and like research to go back home and go, oh, that's who she is. And it's like, oh boy, that's how you know I'm that much of a casual fan. But I got the Sparky the dog reference, which that was funny to see. Shadow Freddy was there, which was another really cool thing, and a minor thing I got spoiled by, which made sense. Like, yeah, of course Shadow Freddy has to be a physical suit or animatronic because, FNAF, with FNAF 3 minigames, where William Afton lures the animatronics into the room that, they can't go into with the Shadow Freddy suit. It makes sense. And then the balloon boy. God damn it. Oh my god. Yeah, Balloon Boy was fucking funny as shit to see the jump scares with him. What was it? Oh my god. And then the end credits where Living Tombstone's Five Nights at Freddy's song was playing was fucking perfect. Like, you couldn't have ended the movie in any other way without using that song. Like, if you didn't use that song, you would have been flagged. A lot of fans probably would have hated it if the end credits if that wasn't there. And especially with the Atari, like, letters being spelled out towards the very end of the movie, which reminisced from FNAF 2. Fucking beautiful. I was like, holy shit, it's the letters being spelled out. Like, oh, I was like, because I've said it once, and I'll say it again. FNAF 2 is 100% my favorite in the entire franchise. It's the game that got me into the franchise, and it's the game that I absolutely love and adore. For how fucking complicated it got. And I'll be totally honest with you. I think I'm more interested in seeing the second movie and how it ties into the first than this first movie actually is. So, I might be giving the first movie a lot of flack now because, it's like, I know it's trying to, bring everybody up to speed, and it's branching out into a big universe that it's got. But, yeah, I mean, at the start, like, walking out of the theater, I was like, it's kind of bad. Like, it's not something that normal people are really gonna like. But as a fan, I casually was kind of like, it's okay. It's not terrible. In terms of FNAF, like, if you really dig deep, you can get into some really dark shit, especially the Fazbear Frights novels. And like I mentioned with Count the Ways and Fetch, like, that's some pretty fucking messed up shit. That is some messed up crap that Five Nights at Freddy's is capable of doing. But it doesn't go that route, sadly. And I think that's what bogs it really down for me, is, was it actually, like, legit scary enough to say, like, okay, it can stand on its own 2 feet. Outside of, putting the, like, get away, take away the games, take away the books, um, basically take away the books and take away the games. And does this movie hold on its own? The answer is, well, no, it doesn't. But once you add the games in and add the books back in for context, doesn't work. It works. It just works. All of this just works. Oh, man. It's... I think the best way to describe this movie is like the Warcraft movie. Remember, like, all the way back when Warcraft, like, the World of Warcraft got its first movie? And it was actually my first video that I ever did on this channel, was talking about the Warcraft movie. That review is no longer here anymore, because obviously, it was just fucking terrible quality, but that's what this movie reminds me of. Like, because I was into Warcraft around that time, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm curious to see what it's like, because I played, the RTS games and such, and, such, and, I thought it was going to be interesting. And turns out, I was happy that I went to see it, but all things considered, it was not great of a film. It didn't really stand on its own because you needed the lore on top of that. That's what the FNAF movie feels like to me, is that you needed this lore on top of that. It's like going to it almost feels like going to a Marvel movie nowadays, where it's like, if you don't know any of the fucking characters, then you only blame yourself for not reading the comics and looking further into it. But the movie at least gives an attempt to explain who these characters are and yada yada. And that's what a lot of movies are doing nowadays, where it's like they'll take a franchise that's obviously has a ton of extra shit, turn it into a movie, but then take out some things so that if you're a fan of it, you already know, but if you're a newcomer, you're not going to like it because you won't know what the fuck is happening. And I feel like the FNAF movie struggles in that regard. And it's like, it could have been so much better if not only did you lean into the horror aspect of it, because that's what the original FNAF was based off of, is, the terror of the fucking haunted animatronics coming after you. But the fact that it dives into something a lot simpler, because I feel like, as much as I love that they're setting it up, and they did a good job setting everything up, I think it's too much of what they did. They set up way too much for this movie. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, the drawings had to be set up so you have the animatronics turn on William Afton. You need the spring locks to explain, like, okay, why the fuck is this suit crushing him? Like, you needed those bits. You needed to know that, William killed five kids and stuffed their bodies into the suits. You needed to know that. But you didn't really need to know, like, every little minor thing. Which I think is what this movie was trying to do. I think it was trying to touch on everything for now. And I think it was a little too much. And again, I hope that with, how successful this movie's gone, that the second movie does a lot better in branching out those plot threads and those lore bits that we all know and love. But I don't think this movie works on its own 2 feet. And to be honest, even as a fan of this series, it's like, I don't understand why so many people are giving it like 8s and 9s and 10s. Like, it's not the best fucking thing. I I'll be brutally honest with you. It's not the best thing that has ever came out. Like, I get you guys, right? I get the FNAF community that they're going as about as fucking nuts as I was when Jurassic World came out. It's the exact same fucking feeling. I know that feeling. I know that feeling, guys. Like, I went to see fucking Jurassic World 6 times in the theaters because I was having so much fun. But with this one, you know, as much as I love FNAF, I'm like, maybe once or twice I want to see this thing, but it's not. It's not great. It's not. I mean, it's not bad, but it's also not great of a movie either. Like, I'm in the middle when it comes to these kinds of things, but for some of the things that it gets right, and for the goofy things that, you know, I was like, all right, I'm having fun with this. I'm gonna give my final rating now. This with the spoilers. It's a 6 out of 10. I, I give it above average. Like, it's fine, but again, it needs to be better. The sequel definitely needs to warrant its existence. Um, in order for me to fucking stay and invested in this franchise, because if they do inevitably decide to make it a quadrilogy with a fourth movie coming out, because I feel like that's fucking coming. I know they're gonna try to cover FNAF 4 with all the nightmare animatronics. I feel like they're gonna do it, but as this movie's holding up and how good it is, again, I would recommend you give it a watch. But at the same time, it's like, if you're a newcomer, don't fucking bother. Don't even bother. This movie's gonna tell you to fuck right off. In the probably the most polite way it can do it. Um, with it being pretty bad. But if you're a FNAF goer, then you're welcomed into the club. And I'm partially welcomed in. So, I mean, I had somewhat of a great time, but again, at the same time, I wish it could have been done so much better. And I really hope, because I'm putting a lot of hype into this, at least the second movie. If this second movie is what I'm imagining, where it's covering more of the lore and it's going into the FNAF 2 location, I'm gonna have so much fun going into that one. Probably not. Yeah, like I said, like FNAF 1, I'm not too much of a fan of. I've played it. I've played the game, but FNAF 1 is not where I got into it. It was FNAF 2 and its introduction to the rich story that it had. That's really where I got fascinated into Five Nights at Freddy's. And at this point, when FNAF 2 does come out, I'm expecting a lot of shit from this, because I'm hearing that the director and Scott are listening to feedback and are trying to fix up the movie, so that it could be better, which is fantastic. But I think it's time, and I know probably Scott's not going to listen to this, but I'll just say it. I loved what you did for the first movie. Don't get me wrong. I liked it. But for the second movie, it needs to have more of the horror. Like, it needs to be more terrifying. Especially if you're going to bring in the withered animatronics. Like, they need to be absolutely fucking horrifying compared to the toys. Let's be for real. I mean, outside of Mangle, because Mangle's, you know, Mangle is Mangle, right? But you have to dive into more of the horror aspect. Like, I get it that these are tortured souls of children who unfortunately passed away. Um, but it but for most people, they think it's, a horror series, and I still think it's a horror series. Um, but that's gonna be the biggest thing. Start nailing down your lore. Start going into the backstory of it, which that's probably why I'm gonna like FNAF 2 a whole lot, because it has to go back. It has to do flashbacks to, older pizzerias and how the whole shit started, which is something that I absolutely love, is origin films and going back, like, doing backstory films is something that I absolutely appreciate. And again, you have to boggle down the horror aspect of it. You really need to bring out the horror of, at least, if you're not going to do it for the toys, at least do it for the withered animatronics, right? Right? If you're gonna say, like, the toy animatronics can't be horrifying because they have that facial recognition system, fine, fine. But at least do the Withers justice, because the Withers are supposed to be fucking creepy. Um, that, and just improve the characters that you've already got. I mean, Mike is okay. Start making him, like, develop even more flaws and scares. Um, make Abby, a huge, like, key to all of it, like, for her to understand the other animatronics and everything like that. And then especially Vanessa, if you're really gonna keep her, like, really focus on giving her an actual arc instead of just being like what everyone's been saying on the internet, a lore dump. Um, but yeah, I mean, guys, that's all I really am expecting for the second movie. But and in terms of the first movie, it's fine to watch it once, right? It's for the joke, it's for the lulz. You watch it once and you laugh at it and you move on. That's really what I feel about this movie. I mean, again, as a fan, I was glad to see this thing. I was really happy to see this movie, but I don't think it's gonna really stand the test of time. For me, especially when there are other video game movies that have done a lot better. Um, Especially Detective Pikachu did pretty damn well. And I still have yet to spoiler review that one, but yeah, that's really all I've got to say about the FNAF movie. Like, I had fun, I enjoyed it, and I know it was a lot to talk about, but I just needed to get everything out. I needed to unfilter this whole thing. Um, but yeah, I think I had somewhat of an enjoyable time. But again, I'd recommend that, if you're really fucking curious, go watch it. But if you're not a fan of it, then yeah, you're gonna fucking hate yourself for doing it. Um, so I recommend that if you're a fan, or if you're a semi-fan of FNAF, I recommend going watching it once and forming your own opinion. But again, if you don't like FNAF, you're gonna fucking hate yourself for watching this thing, and I don't blame you. Um, looking at Rotting and Dio on my Lost Tapes Discord on that, but yeah, guys. Actually, to be honest, let me know what you guys thought about the movie. Comment down below and give your own thoughts out. Now, keep in mind, try to keep it spoiler free if you can, but if you want to spill out spoilers, that's fine. I mean, everyone else is gonna be pointing their fingers at you, but um, like the video and subscribe to the channel if actually like the video if you want me to continue doing more of these movie reviews, because I did them at the very beginning of my channel and nobody really liked them. So that's why I kind of stopped giving my own movie reviews. But if you really want me to do more of those too, you can comment that down below as well. And subscribe to the channel to continue up with any of my content that I usually do. And until next time, guys, I am the DM.